So hello everyone, I'm with Adriana from the Oxford and Cambridge Club, and welcome Adriana.
Thank you, Ankita.
Which edition do you with London Wine Competition?
That would be the 6th for me.
Oh wow, so like from day one I believe,
From
right?
day one, yes.
So how has been the journey so far?
Exciting and definitely with always something new to find because you never expect what really is on the flight.
That's true.
So I'm always very much interested.
That's great, yes. So why don't you tell us to the people who would be seeing you for the first time, what do you do and what is your role at the Oxford and Cambridge Club?
So I joined the Oxford and Cambridge Club back in spring 2019. So I'm on my fourth year journey at the Oxford and Cambridge Club. I started at the Head Sommelier, so as a Head Sommelier, and then I gained the title of a Head of Beverage. So I'm managing a team of sommelier and bartenders, and I am the only ladies at the moment there. So I'm feeling much proud that they gave me the trust to finally have a team that can really develop their own journey and of course serving our members in the best way possible. So.
Amazing. So I was reading about the club. I was seeing that it's a 200 years old club,
Correct.
I believe.
Yes.
And it's only for the members.
Yes.
And so tell us more about what role does it changes for you when the club is so old, when there is so much to take care of, from their values to their functioning. What are the things for the people, especially who are joining, let's say the club, the team members that you have? What sort of things that they have to take in mind other than just knowing the skills or just knowing about wine?
So I think that when someone will join us you can see it in two different ways. So either is from a team member joining from the first time, so it can be like overwhelming because the main coffee room, which is the main restaurant, is quite huge. But again, it's more down to how you really feel about the one-to-one relation to the member, and then you find your own way because you need to be not as much intrusive as probably sometime you are in an independent restaurant, or you may want just to feel yourself and try to deliver instead your personality as well as knowledge. So they want someone around members-wise that is the kind of good guy, be there if they need, but not to be too intrusive, which is the main goal of the service there.
Amazing. And you manage a team, I believe, of 16 or 17 people?
Yes, in a total, that would be, again, yes, something like that. Of course, COVID has swapped all the numbers around. We were a little bit more when I started, then we went down to a little bit, and now we're rebuilding the team for the last 16 months. So it's a journey. We have people from a young age to very much experienced, and it's always good to learn from the basic, because you never stop learning in life, right?
That's true, that's true. So how much time does it go for you to get involved with your team? So I would like to know more about what sort of training that goes to maintain a team of, let's say, sommeliers in a wine club. So what sort of trainings do you usually give them time to time to make sure that they are up to the mark, they're understanding the new wine list which are being there? So what sort of training do you
So we tend to have like a one-to-one meeting on a weekly basis, and of course to try to go to as much tasting as we can, trying to wiggle between the shifts, of course. But for me, going out and reach out what the new products are in London are the basic to go back to the team. So the more your palate is accurate, the more you can deliver to your guest. When we have a vintage change, for example, we do like a core tasting, so with all people attending, and it's mandatory that they need to understand which is the difference between the one that we used to live with before and then the one that we're currently listing. So for me, it's a really core of the tasting. And of course, the new wine that comes to the wine list according to stock or according to what the really member wants. So it's a joint choice between the wine committee that runs the really finalizing of the wine list and what probably the member wants. So I'm the kind of key factor in between the two that report what we probably missing or what we are expecting to be listed or what is really need to be listed that we're still missing. So it's a kind of
amazing
balance.
Yeah, so I think you take a lot of feedback from the members who are coming. What are they looking for? And when there is a curation that is happening of the wine list, you try to give those inputs. So that matches, right? So being so old, this club being so old, what are the members' expectation from you? like what do they expect when it comes to a dialogue that happens? So what are the conversations?
So this typical conversation is they always curious because of course they want to see what we really work on behind the scenes. So the eventual product that comes on the wine list, and they always trying to find you as their core person in the room to go to whenever they feel lost or they don't recognize something they were probably more comfortable with, or they just be very curious about and they want to discover something new. So they might want us to be around because they give them the presence that they still confident if they would need. But sometimes they're just people who are wine lovers who come to enjoy and they just don't want to be disturbed. So I feel the presence of the sommelier is the key point to be able to ask if they need. That's what a members club is all about. It's a gentle presence without being interrupting what they are there for.
Amazing. So what sort of room do you have to make changes in your wine list? I mean, is it like you are always going to the same suppliers, same distributors, or because the club is so old? So I want to understand that. Do they have a change where they would like to go to new things which the members are asking for, or they have a room to add something which is not there? So how much do you have the bandwidth?
So as head of beverage, I am delivering what members want. Yes, I do listen to them, but it's always going through the committee to really understand what we're missing in terms of beans, so probably regions or winery or vintages that we still want to add.
Correct.
So it's always like to balance this out. It won't be just a member's choice and it won't be just a wine committee choice. It's always kind of way to balance out. But it's important because otherwise it will be a list that is kind of equal to anyone in London, and they want to be the list of the Oxford and Cambridge Club. So that's why they are more secret about what we have there. So that's why I cannot go ahead of some names. But it's important to know that we have the core of our supplier that are still there after many years.
Amazing.
Which we rely on, and there are some new on the market because they have probably that kind of particular winery or small business that we are intrigued or that we want to know more about, and we want to list more wine. We probably have started with one bean, with one single variety, one single vintage, and then we want to extend it. So it's always like a never stopping process, and we're always there to accommodate probably the needs and also to be probably recognizable as the Oxford and Cambridge Club. So the core of the list will never change.
Will never change.
Probably we can slightly change the way it is perceived, so we can add more beans onto a region, but it will never completely change. And this is what reassure the members probably.
Amazing. So one more question, because you mentioned that you're a head of beverage, so I kind of missed that. So when you say head of beverage, coffee, tea, everything comes under you?
Everything comes under my little wings. I'm overseeing, of course, the main core of the business in terms of beverages, the wine, because this is what they ask me to look after. I have of course, many colleagues that help me delivering this. But on the other side, we are a coffee room, like an old-fashioned name for the main restaurant. And we have bars that overlook, for example, the squash courts. We do have a member who just come enjoy and grab a sandwich, who want just a simple fresh juice. And then we need to deliver either a coffee or fresh juice. So it's really what the beverage in the total parties. Yes.
So how often do you keep in mind in terms of understanding everything in terms of executing it? So how much your time goes in understanding, let's say you are into wine, so you know in and about wine, but it's coffee, it's tea, it's a simple bar we are talking about. So how much your time goes in terms of deciding the functioning of everything?
So as I mentioned before, I don't work by myself. So I have, of course, the team is the key part. Whatever I can't do by myself, I need to rely on them. And thanks God they are around. But yes, definitely you need to be up to date with everything. So if there is a new trend of a good drinks that it can be approachable for young members, for example, we try our best to have a tasting with the bar manager and then with our operational manager that we want to have it listed. Or on the other way around, probably in one single day, we might have delivering the service into lunch, and then we have the break in the afternoon where we have tasting, and then we go back to the evening service. So for me, the core part would be probably 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon, which is the main part where either I listen to my colleagues, to my team, or we do something new for the beverage in terms of delivering a new service that can be listed later on in the service or in the week. Yes, definitely.
Super. So one last question, Adriana. So I believe clubs functioning of taking events as well, private events you do often.
Yes.
So what sort of events do you organize? And for example, for you, it's two-way. One is something that they want you to organize, and second is that you want to do it for your members. So we are talking about the second thing, where you plan a year to have event lists. So what sort of event do you come up with, and what are the thoughts that goes behind, like, we should do this for our members, this is going to be really something which is going to, let's say, attract more members or keep retaining the old members? So what sort of decisions go?
I would say that it really depends on which category of member we're talking about. Okay. So we try to plan ahead a week in terms of probably something that can be interesting for everyone attending, and then a year plan in which we place the correct, probably most appealing events. It could be that we call like a club events. So it's for every member that comes and would like to attend. So these kind of events are very well planned. It needs to be always with an outstanding winery, probably in terms of wine, or if it is like a book, a presentation of a book, because we have a writer in the house staying with us. So there will be like this as a club event as well. And there are events that can be probably driven to more people. So we are talking about with hundreds of people attending. Then of course we're going to place in a different room, and that would be the core of probably of the event season in which many people would attend. That probably for us is the winter season. So where many people will visit London, we can stay over, and of course on the accommodation, and then they can stay and enjoy their event. So I think planning is the key part of my journey, alongside of course of the team and of the committee, and to try to involve as much as we can in terms of curiosity and in terms of a branded wine that can be highly recognizable. If it's not a wine, then it need to be a recognizable whiskey, or it need to be a recognizable gin, something that really people would say, actually, they have it listed, so I'm going to try my best to get a chance to try it. And this is the eventual part. So they get to know something, they will be familiar with that, and then they eventually enjoy, and of course with their family when they come and visit.
So how it is for you to be in the 6th year of London Wine Competition? So I want to know, what do you feel? What has been your experience so far in terms of it being us for 6 years?
Yes.
And how you have seen us growing, and what is your overall?
So I'm very much honored to be here on my 6th edition. I can't believe it, it's 6 years already. And I see this journey very much into one direction. I would say curiosity first, because you never stop to deliver something that was not ready yet as a product in London. And of course, taking on feedback years over years. And I think from the probably location in which we are for the 2nd year, I think.
Yeah,
and also in terms of how we deliver the flights. So maybe at the very beginning, it was not a confusion, but a different way of delivering that. Correct. And I feel now it's more structured. You have a better understanding how you will deliver your value, your scores. And also I would really appreciate the way you put the judgment project to be as smooth as possible. So we deliver something that we feel, of course, with our senses, but then we have this kind of conversation among the little group in which we are divided.
Nice.
And I think it's the best part, because really you feel you are up to your colleague that is next to you, whether it's a master of wine, whether it's a diploma, whether it's a simple journalist or a wine writer or as a sommelier like me. It's important to have this little moment before you judge something that you might have not seen or you might not encounter before, like a 100% grape variety that you are not familiar with, and then you have the chance to try it here. So for me, it's a journey again into how I feel, how I started, and how I feel now much more confident and more familiar with the process. And something that I never seen in other competition is always that you give the structure to the person who presented their own wines, and you really feel like blind tasting what you really feel on the day. So you are not covered by any bias. You just go with your sense. And for me, this is the true part of this process.